In this video, we'll be looking at my customized DC Direct Space Hog that came with Lobo. This is a project I put off for a long time because to do this, I needed to have a Lobo. I originally was going to build a custom Lobo using the DC Direct figure that the bike came with as the base and build a new body for him. Before I got around to doing that, Mattel made the Build-A-Figure Lobo, which is pretty much the same size as this Lobo, so that was taken care of by Mattel already. When I got the bike with the Lobo, the bike was ridiculously short. It looked like he was riding a big wheel instead of his space chopper hog. The handlebars stopped right here. It was just terrible looking. I never did like how short it was. Like I said, it looked like he was riding a big wheel. So I just put it in storage for a long time until I got around to like making a Lobo. So like I said, I didn't have to do that since I got the perfect size Lobo from Mattel. So after I got this Lobo, he needed a bike. And I pulled this out of storage and I started to build out the bike. So the handlebar stopped right here. So I built the entire front of the bike, the triple trees, modified all this stuff. Let's go ahead and pull Lobo off so we can get a closer look at the bike. On the back half of the bike, it looked really good. The details, the engines, I really liked the way this looked. The big issue was the front. It was just way too short, too stumpy. So the way I started with, I cut off the front forks was glued on. You can see here where the original place where they were glued onto the front. And the headlight was mounted here. So I started taking styrene and building up. I didn't really have a plan for it. I was kind of free building when I built this. So I started styrene sheets, cut it. To make sure I have a solid structure to work with, since I'm connecting to nothing, just a flat edge here because it's not a lot of surface area to connect to, I inserted to styrene rods where the connection points were for the handlebars. And I started extending out from there. I cut them and make tubing. I made a tube structure originally inside the tank. Then I started putting flat sheets of styrene over top of that. And like all this was just free-form design. I didn't really have a plan. I was using like note cards to actually, once I got one side the way I liked it, I traced the pattern, cut it out, another piece of styrene, and go to the other side. Try to get the size match up as close as I can. And I think I did a pretty good job on that. For the gluing the panels together, I was using a combination of super glue, baking soda, and Instaset. So I'd actually put the glue on, shake a little bit of baking soda on it. It becomes like a filler to fill in the gaps, and adds a little more structure to the glue seams. Then I hit it with the Instaset to harden the glue instantly. After I got all the panels glued on, I used some Squadron's model putty and covered up the seams, sanded them down, fabricated all the steering mechanisms. Well, I have working steering. After doing that, I didn't want to have his feet just dangling in the air, so I fabricated some footrest for the DC Multiverse Lobo figure. I traced out the foot and used that as a template, cut that out, and traced it onto some styrene sheets. I was able to do that on each side, so they'll be the exact size of the DC Multiverse Lobo feet. And I put stops on the front and back, so they'll rest in there. No need for pegs in it, and they fit perfectly inside of it. Connect it to the lower section of the bike. The control box that was mounted in front of the seat, I cut that off, moved it to the tank. For the seat, I used some styrene. I cut it and glued it in place, extending in the seat, and used the Squadron's putty on that. Then it was time for paint. The paint I used, I think, was Metal Master's Steel, which was very close to the pewter color that the bike already was. It's a little bit off, not perfect. Adding the paint and the washes, I still thought the tank looked too plain, so I decided to make some water slide decals for it. On each side of the tank, I did the Bite Me Fanboy decals on each side. On the top of the tank is like a traditional biker's pinup girl imagery on the top. I found this really cool artwork online. Worked out perfectly, like a girl on a rocket. Seems like appropriate what Lobo would have on a bike. After applying the decals, they look too crisp and clean for the look I'm going for with this. I want it to blend in with the back of the bike, which is, you got the dirt and grime and grit. That's you kind of associate with Lobo, so I want to weather those down. So I applied a wash, the black wash over top of those. Then on the side, on the Bite Me Fanboys, I dry brushed a little bit of the steel color over top of that to make them look worn. But I'm happy with how this turned out. Nice, good-sized bike. It doesn't look ridiculous like he's riding a preschooler's big wheel. Actually looks like a space hog now. And it's custom fit to work with the DC Multiverse, the Mattel DC Multiverse Lobo. And it looks good. The feet just pop right in. And with the working steering, so you can not limit it for where you got to put the arms. You can actually pose the arms and the handlebars however you want to. All in all, I was really happy with how this turned out. Especially I was just having fun with some styrene. It's kind of like a throwback to some old modeling day, building model cars and stuff like that, and fabrication. So that was a fun project. Anyway, thank you for taking the time. Watch the video. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And I'll catch y'all next time.